Hey y'all, my name's Kizine and welcome to my channel, Write It Right. Oh my gosh, this light is like blinding you guys. Hold on a second, let me go and adjust my blinds. For like the first time in what feels like decades, I actually woke up early on a weekend, and to be honest, while it isn't very common for my schedule since I am homeschooled, it's kind of, natural that I sleep in, especially on weekends, but it actually feels really good to kind of wake up early and be productive and of course film a video for you guys. But it still looks pretty dark. Hold on you guys, let me try something in just a second. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. A couple weeks ago, towards the very end of nanowrimo, and it was actually like my first video on my channel, so I would really appreciate if you guys would go and check that out. But yeah, for my first video, I decided to do a nanowrimo blog, basically kind of sharing my experience and doing some writing sprints for nanowrimo of 2022. And then I also did another blog following that, basically sharing with you guys that I won nanowrimo. Yay! And basically today I thought that since nanowrimo, it was actually my first time doing it this year. And I learned so much, and I feel like I've become such a better writer because of it. I thought it would be perfect to do kind of like a wrap up of some of the things that I've learned with my nanowrimo experience. So today I will be sharing 5 of the lessons that I've learned in nanowrimo of 2022. Okay guys, so as you can see, my list is officially written down. The 5 lessons that I've learned during nanowrimo of 2022 is a go. Number 1 is writing is not about finding motivation. It's about writing when you've got an idea to share with the world. I think this was like such a pivotal lesson that I've learned this year during nanowrimo. Just because like previous to the project that I just finished, which is called the Kick Society, by the way, I pretty much had done a novel, and I started this when I was like about 11 years old, which was about 4 years ago now, so a long time. And like probably about like maybe 2 years ago or so, I pretty much stopped completely. And then like maybe like a year after, I did another few chapters or so, and then I stopped again. And I was just like pretty much going on and off with that manuscript. And not only that, but I was editing a whole lot while I was writing that first draft. The draft is now a total of, I think, like 42,000 words or something like that. So it is pretty well like into the story, which is super exciting. But I think the main issue with why I did not finish that book, especially over such a large period of time, is I was so focused on trying to find motivation for my writing and, just trying to avoid, not necessarily avoid, but, I would kind of put writing off to the side and then kind of try to wait for this like motivation to kind of just fall over me. Like, I'll be motivated and then I'll write. And then until then, I'm just going to leave the project to the side and, just do something else. But what I've learned with this whole NaNoWriMo experience is that writing, if you wait until you find motivation to write, that's pretty much going to get you nowhere, just because you might not always feel like writing. You might not always feel like, sitting at your desk and coming up with ideas. No matter how much you love writing, writer's block is real. And it's true that you might not always feel, motivated to actually write your book. However, during the process of NaNoWriMo of 2022, I think my major motivation was just realizing that, my story is genuinely a good story. It's a story that I want to share with the world and use to inspire other young and Christian authors that they can reach their dreams. And I'm obsessed with my characters. I'm obsessed with my story. I'm obsessed with my plot. I'm obsessed with my world. I'm obsessed with my theme. And when you just think about so much, everything that you love about your story and how much you really want it to pretty much showcase that to the world, show the world you're writing, I think honestly that is a major motivation when it comes to writing. So my main takeaway from lesson number 1 would be not to so much worry about, this random motivation to just kind of come over you all of a sudden, because honestly, especially as teen writers and young adult writers, to be honest, the time to write sometimes can be already non-existent anyway. So trying to find outside sources of motivation is not always the best idea. Instead, I would recommend, kind of just focusing on your story. And even if you don't want to publish your writing, think about how much you love your story and how much you want to see your characters succeed in the end and how much you just want to see, your work pay off. Lesson number 2 is, as a writer, it's important to hold yourself up to a standard. And what I mean with this, it kind of taps into number 1. And when I mean hold ourselves as writers to a standard is, just kind of, even when we don't exactly feel like writing or we don't exactly, have that motivation to write, it's important to still, especially if we really want to get a project done, hold ourselves to a standard where, we believe in ourselves that we can finish our writing and that, we can succeed in this process, During NaNoWriMo, there were several days that I did not feel like writing, or several days that I was just tired or out of it, or I was really busy. However, I had in mind what I wanted to do at the finish line and that I wanted to be at 50,000 words by November 30th. And kind of using that as like a fuel or like a driving force, to get to the end when it comes to your manuscript is really something that I think really helps out when it comes to finishing your book. Number 3 is, when it comes to writing, prep is everything. This was such a ginormous lesson that I learned this year for NaNoWriMo, just because with the book that I had been working on for years before I started my current project, pretty much I did no prep work at all when it came to writing or working to kind of build my world and get to know my characters before I actually began the writing process, which is okay because I was 10 or 11 years old at the time, so I might not have been as in tune with how the writing process works and how you can kind of do preparations earlier. I just kind of had this idea and I ran with it, and I kind of just started writing and wanted to see where the story went on its own. And to be honest, that's perfectly fine because some people, they really like writing without planning anyway. So if that is your personal writing style, there is nothing wrong with that. Really, when it comes to writing, it's all about what works best for you. However, for me, NaNoWriMo was my first time really sitting down and kind of planning my story, pretty much plotting the major events that I figured would happen in the story, doing character profiles for my characters, and just kind of getting to know this world because I'm writing a fantasy novel, so kind of building and getting to know that world and seeing where it goes and how I want to kind of portray this idea in my head to my readers. I think I did such a great job with that this time, and it really helps to kind of keep that, flow going and to prevent, writer's block from hitting me during the actual process of NaNoWriMo. So yeah, the lesson number 3 that I learned during NaNoWriMo is when it comes to my writing and starting new projects and starting a new novel, prepping and planning beforehand is everything. Number 4 is creating deadlines and goals for yourself are a great motivation for writing. Everybody and every writer is different, so I'm not going to say this is the same for every writer, but for me, setting a deadline and pretty much setting that goal of 50,000 words by November 30th was a huge, motivation for me to kind of reach that finish line and keep going even on the days that I didn't necessarily feel like writing. I think that and I've always been this way, I'm kind of the type of person, once I set a goal for myself and I'm really I really set my heart on it, I'm gonna reach that goal, Nothing's gonna stop me from reaching that goal unless, something just, out of this world happens, which, will not happen. But you guys know what I mean. If I, set my mind to do something, then 9 times out of 10, I'm going to do that. And honestly, NaNoWriMo was really no different. If there's anything about the writing process that really motivated me to kind of keep going and keep pushing through, it was that word count goal, because I knew in the end that I really wanted to come out with a first draft of a very new novel of mine, and pretty much just kind of seeing my finish line, and when I wrote every day, seeing how quickly my word count kind of rose up and got closer to my goal was really a really winning factor in actually getting to the end and winning NaNoWriMo. And finally, number 5 is finishing a novel is the ultimate confidence boost. Honestly, this is so true, and I think that pretty much every writer out there can agree with me on this, but finishing a novel, or at least, even though I didn't quite finish my novel yet, because I believe my novel is going to be probably about a good 15,000 words more than 50,000, just knowing that you finished, 50,000 words in a novel, and or you may have even finished the first draft of your novel, is one of the most rewarding feelings that you could ever get as a writer. And I just really enjoyed being a part of that experience, and really how many people can say that they finished or that they've written 50,000 words in a month? I'm quite sure not that many. In fact, I've heard a statistic that really only 10 to 15% of participants technically win NaNoWriMo to begin with. So the fact that I was able to do that, and so many other awesome writers out there were able to do that, is super, super rewarding to see. And I'm quite sure there are some awesome writers out there who might not have been able to reach 50,000 words by November 30th. However, that is still okay. And I think that honestly, everyone who just took the time and had the bravery and the perseverance to get started with NaNoWriMo should be celebrated. And I think at the end of the day, we're all winners, because we all have more words than we did when we first started NaNoWriMo of this year anyway. So just the fact that we all participated, and the fact that we got an idea and we decided to act on that idea, I think should be super, super commended. And I am super, super happy for everyone who participated in NaNoWriMo this year. And so yeah, everyone, that is the 5 major lessons that I learned during NaNoWriMo of 2022. This video was such a blast to film, just because I really enjoyed doing that kind of wrap-up / review / reflection of pretty much what this Nano experience has taught me, and how I've grown as a person and as a writer because of it. I definitely really enjoyed NaNoWriMo, even more than I expected to. I know that I love to write even before this process, and I knew that I was probably going to enjoy it, but it is so surreal just to actually be able to do it and accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, and to be able to share that with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a humongous thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. And speaking of subscribing, thank you so much, you guys, for 15 subscribers. It is so surreal to have gotten so many subscribers so quickly, considering that I just made this channel. So I am giving a huge thank you to each and every one of you for supporting my channel. You guys are the best. Mwah. Love you guys. And I'd also really love to know, what are your favorite lessons or takeaways that you've learned from NaNoWriMo, whether you have participated this year or in past years. And even if you have never participated, what are some things, you know, that you love about NaNoWriMo, or some things that you've learned as a writer or even as a person from NaNoWriMo? I'd really appreciate it if you would comment that down below. But yeah, guys, that is the end of today's video, and I had such an awesome time with NaNoWriMo. I'm super excited to hopefully be able to participate in Camp NaNoWriMo as well in April or July, and then do it again next November, because it was just such a blast. And I've already gotten a couple new novel ideas, which I will probably be sharing with you guys later, like as kind of like a you know, insertion into, you know, my creative process. But yeah, I have really enjoyed NaNoWriMo, and I really am excited to go ahead and do that again, and, you know, write some of the other ideas that are, you know, kind of like swirling around in my head. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.